Henry le Despenser was a 14th-century English nobleman and Bishop of Norwich whose reputation as the fighting bishop was gained for his part in suppressing the Peasants Revolt in East Anglia and in defeating the peasants at the Battle of North Walsham in the summer of 1381. As a young man he studied at Oxford University and held numerous positions in the English Church. He fought in Italy before being consecrated as a bishop in 1370. Parliament agreed to allow Despenser to lead a crusade to Flanders in 1383, which was directed against Louis II of Flanders, a supporter of the anti-Pope Clement VII. The crusade was in defense of English economic and political interests. Although well-funded, the expedition was poorly equipped and lacked proper military leadership. After initial successes, a disastrous attempt to besiege the city of Ypres forced Despenser to return to England. Upon his return he was impeached in Parliament. His temporalities were confiscated by Richard II of England, but were returned in 1385, the year he accompanied the king northward to repel a potential French invasion of Scotland. Despenser was an energetic and able administrator who staunchly defended his diocese against Lollardy. In 1399, he was among those who stood by Richard, following the landing of Henry Bolingbroke in Yorkshire towards the end of June. He was arrested for refusing to come to terms with Bolingbroke. The following year, he was implicated in the Epiphany Rising, but was pardoned. Birth and ancestry. Henry le Despenser was the youngest son of Edward le Despenser, who married Anne, daughter of Sir Ralph Ferrers of Groby. Henry was born around 1342, the year that his father was killed at the siege of Vannes. He and his three brothers all grew up to become soldiers. His eldest brother Edward le Despenser, 1st Baron le Despenser, was reputed to be one of the greatest knights of his age. He and Henry fought together for Pope Urban V in his war against Milan in 1369. Comparatively little is known of his other siblings. Hugh le Despenser fought abroad and died in Padua in March 1374. Thomas fought in France and died unmarried in 1381, and Gilbert le Despenser died in 1382. Their sister Joan was a nun at Shaftesbury Abbey until her death in 1384. The le Despenser family originated from the lords of Gommiers in northeastern France. Henry's grandmother Eleanor de Clare was a granddaughter of Edward I of England. Henry's great-grandfather Hugh le Despenser, 1st Earl of Winchester, and grandfather Hugh Despenser the Younger, who was a favourite of Edward II, were both exiled and later executed after the rebellion of Queen Isabella and her lover Mortimer against Edward II of England. Hugh le Despenser had become Edward II's advisor, holding power until the king's defeat of the Battle of Bannockburn, but he was later restored to favour. His son was appointed the king's chamberlain and enjoyed a still larger share of royal favour. The barons were hostile to the Despensers, due to their acquired wealth and perceived arrogance, and in 1321 they were banished. Their sentences were soon afterwards annulled, and from 1322 they played an important role in the governing of the country. But in 1326 Isabella acted against them and both men were tried and executed. In 1375, Despenser's nephew Thomas le Despenser, 1st Earl of Gloucester, succeeded his father Edward. Thomas was captured and killed following the attempt to restore Richard II in the Epiphany Rising. Early career. In 1353 Henry d'Aixon became the canon of Llandaff, and a year later he was secured a canonry of Salisbury Cathedral. By the age of 19 he had become the rector of Bosworth, and by February 1361 he was a master at Oxford University, studying civil law. He was ordained on the 17th of December 1362. By the 20th of April 1364 he was Archdeacon of Llandaff. Of his early life Capgrave tells us that he spent some time in Italy fighting for Pope Urban V in his war against Milan in 1369.